Good morning, everybody. Today is Thursday, March the 24th, 2020, and I'm Sharon Wilcox, your independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Welcome. If you're watching me live, I'm so happy that you're joining me today, but if you're catching me a little bit later, um, welcome. So I will be posting this on my YouTube channel as well, and it's under the same name, Stamp with Sharon Wilcox. So you can catch me there, send your friends there too. So I've had a crazy morning. I woke up early because we're having stormy weather, and John wanted to get the boys walked before the next round of rains or storms came in. So woke me up early out of a sound sleep. It takes me a while to get going anymore. Excuse me, talk about sleep. I just want to yawn. Then I came upstairs and after my coffee, and I was just so discombobulated. I could not get the screen to work showing my desktop. I finally did at the last second. So happy that that's working, but wow, just kind of crazy. And this weather is just eerie. I am so sad for all the tornadoes that have ripped across our country from Texas all the way to Louisiana, and I do hope and pray that our everybody is safe. But our Stampin' Up! Demonstrators and everybody that's out there, wow, it looks really bad. So hoping all is well for everybody else in the country, and you're having some nice spring weather. So it's been a busy week. The good news is I did get taxes finished, so that makes me happy. Finished and in and paid. So there we go with that. But still working on finding a condo for Tammy and doing all of that. I thought all the paperwork was done, but of course not. It's never always done. At least that's the way it seems. So all right, let's move forward and let me show you what we've got on our desktop today. And it is Waves of Inspiration and Gentle Waves. And these are two sets that are so fun to work with. Living here close to the beach, I'm about 25 minutes from the beach. Depends on where you go, but it's a big coastline down here, so Virginia Beach area. So this one just really kind of spoke to me. I love going out early to the beach and seeing the pelicans out there feeding. You can see them anytime, but John and I did go to the beach on Monday, and it was just gorgeous weather. And I didn't see any pelicans that day, but we did see a lot of dolphins, and they were just so happy and playing and doing. This is a set of 7 stamps, and the waves, gentle waves, is just one big background stamp. This is how she looks, and I do have it mounted on the acrylic block. So and I didn't use it a whole lot, but I did use it with one card, so I want to show you that. Like I said, I don't have as much as I'd like to show you, but I've got a little bit. This is the Waves dies that goes with the Waves of Inspiration. And it's really a cool set because you have clouds, you have birds, you have a couple different label type things. It cuts out your pelican, and you have these wonderful surf things, and there's 2 different ones, and they're designed to layer one on top of the other one, but it's a little bit busy for me, so I tend to like just one and another one of these little label things. I love these. The words fit perfectly in there. So like the happy birthday fits there if you want a long one. On this one, you're totally awesome. You're so totally awesome, and your strength is an inspiration. fit really nice in there. So anyways, let's get moving on. And let's start off by showing you this first card. Now this was an inspiration from somebody else. I did mine slightly different, but not much. It's just your typical Z card. Okay, but I thought it was really pretty. I used a bit on the background here. I used a bit of the metallic paper in the dark blue. I think you can kind of see, there you go, you can see that. I stamped this big wave on the front here to give it that watery look. Just posted our Pelican. You saw how I did that last week, I believe it was. The happy birthday, it is one long word, but I just cut that in half after I stamped it and placed it on like that. The Z is a typical fold. If you want measurements for this, I can give them to you, but it's pretty basic. I've shown this many, many times. Some of the beautiful designer series paper, and I did the exact same type of layering on the inside as I did on the outside. And here you see this wonderful big wave coming in, and it says you're totally awesome. So it's a happy birthday card. And I did put the pilings over here because I just didn't want to have a blank white piece here. So there you go. And this is done on the Pacific Blue cardstock as a base. So it's really pretty. And I think last week I showed you the Desire Series paper too. So let me show you just a fun couple things with this. Do a little bit of stamping for you this morning. I feel so discombobulated because I had it was right down to the wire trying to get this screen to come up. It was just blank and I don't know why. I don't know what setting I switched because I hadn't changed any settings from the prior week on that particular app, but oh well, it's how it goes. So this is a very easy card. This one's for beginners or advanced, and we have our basic white cardstock, and it's cut into your typical card size. So it's 5.5 by 4.25 when folded in half. I have a piece of paper for layering, and this is our Pacific Point, and I have a piece for stamping, and this is a bit smaller than postcard size, and it is 5 inches by 3.75. So it's just a really nice size. You see, I have my Stamparatus all set up, and I didn't even clear off my dirty piece of paper. I like to start with a fresh piece, but I will save that for other times that I am stamping and doing different things. So when I put this in here, I do tend to come from the corner. Sometimes it makes it a little more difficult to get a good impression over in these corners, so I kind of leave it out. One of the fun things that you can do, or I don't know, it's fun, but one of the things that you can do to help you remember where you have your card, just in case it was to slide on you, or let's say that you're doing multiples of this, just put a little marking, and I like to just mark my corners like this so that I know that my card, and you could even mark this so that you know your card's going all the way up there. Oh, and I marked it off the wrong corner. Of course I did. There we go. And I'm just using an ink pen. So there we go. I marked the top one too. But that's just for my own little visual thing to know where that I'm putting it. But I do always, almost always, use my magnets that come with this. They do have some washi tape. We don't carry that anymore, but you can put whatever. You don't want your magnets to touch each other because they're super strong. So I try to keep them apart. There's storage underneath here for those magnets, which is wonderful. And and away we go. So I already have this placed where I really want it. And I'm going to start off with, I think I'll start off with a really light balmy blue and ink up my wave. You notice I've got this stamp set underneath here. I like to have something under there because if I don't, then it's kind of down like this, and it works just fine. But I like things to be a little bit more level, so I'll put my empty stamp case up underneath there so that I have that. Okay, we're going to build a little bit of depth, even though this is really basic, beginners kind of simple stamping, where you take a sip, stamp ink and paper, and press this down nice and firm, and you don't have to worry if you don't get a perfect image. That's the whole point of your Stamparatus. Whoa, isn't that beautiful? I mean, even just with that color, I think I probably had a little bit of ink on there, but let's add a little bit of depth to our color. Now you can go in here with your blending brush. This works great, and I will show you that. But the first thing I want to do is just add a bit more depth of color. And I'm just going to go straight for, let's try the Pacific Point first and see if it's dark enough. I'll move this down here where you can see it a little bit better. And I'm just using a sponge dauber. These sponge daubers are awesome for a lot of different things, but in this particular case, we're going to use it for adding a bit of color onto our stamp. Can you see where I've added that? And wherever you think that you want it to be a bit darker, that's all you do. Okay, so underneath that wave curl, I think it needs to be a little bit darker there. So that's what I've done. You can see I didn't re-ink it with a stamp, but we can go right back in here because our paper did not move. And it added a little darker. I wanted it a little bit darker than that. So let's just go back in, add a little bit more, ink that up real well. Okay, let's do it again. This is the fun part about having the Stamparatus, is that when you secure your paper down, there you go. Now we're getting that deeper color. Maybe one more time, make it even just a little darker. What do you think? A little bit more? Okay. And give it a good press. The nice thing too is if you have arthritis in your hands like I do, pressing on this lid gives you enough. But I always, when I especially am adding a little extra color, I give it a little extra push there. There we go. Look how nice and dark that is underneath there. Now, what I'd like to do, because I'm not a big fan of all of this white, it's a little too much, we can go in here and let's just add a third color in there because we can. Now, you can go with either of the ones that we just used, the balmy or the balmy blue or the night of navy, but I'm going to go in with our Bermuda Bay, get some color on my blending brush, and sponge a little bit of this color. And I want you to see the difference between here and here, where I'm adding this bluey color, because when you look at the ocean, when you look at the waves coming in, they're not all white. They are the color of your water. So I'm just blending this right down to the tip here and across here. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't really matter. You don't have to be super perfect. It's okay if you go out of line a little bit. It's not going to hurt anything. Isn't that just gorgeous? Fun, fun, fun waves. Okay, so we're going to leave that like that. And the way you clean this is just like with anything else, but I typically will take my chamois, and mine is, can you believe that is clean? um, and just clean it off. I have a new one. I probably should break it out, but there's nothing wrong with this one. They get stained, and that's just part of it. So just clean that up, and I won't take the time to make it perfect, but that's all you got to do with that. So now we have our wave. Let's go ahead and let's just add our words. While we'll just use this to stamp on, and I'm going to use the words "you're totally so awesome," and I think I want to have it in the darker color, which is our Night of Navy. And give that a nice little ink up. Move this out of the way, and I'll just put that right over here. It just stamps so nice. And I'm going to add a couple of our little birds, because there's always seagulls or pelicans or something when we go to the beach. So there's birds there. Okay, let's go ahead and close this up. I just stuck my finger down in that. See that? When you're working with this Night of Navy, you really do need to keep your fingers clean, because this navy ink tends to want to get all over me. I don't know why it is with Night of Navy, but it's just one of those things. I'm going to set this aside for right now, and we're going to take this and we're going to put it right here. Doesn't that make a beautiful card? And then I'll layer it on top of this one, just like this, and I will glue this down. But before I do that, I want to show you a way that you can just dress that up just a smidge more. But this is a really basic card, but beautiful. Doesn't have to be anything special. Just because our cards are simple doesn't mean they aren't beautiful. Now remember this die cut from the wave? Yes. Well, I've cut that out ahead of time, and I used some more of the foil, and it is just gorgeous. And look how that just pops that up. I'll make sure that you can see that real well. It just adds another dimension and makes this card just stunning. So we can add that to this one. And one of the things, I'm going to go ahead and snip this off, because I did trim my paper down, so it's just a smidge longer. So let me just snip that off. Right. Let's try right about there. Just snip that off. Let me see if I got that pretty. Oh my goodness, I did perfect. That's unusual. Okay. Now, one of the things that I did do prior to cutting this out is I added our adhesive backing, because trying to put enough glue on the back of this is a little tedious, and sometimes we'll get glue oozing out when you're trying to glue such small places. It's possible. You certainly can do that. But these self-adhesive backing that you can add to any of your cardstock really makes adhering detailed pieces like this really super easy. So I'm laying this on the corner of my card, remembering it's got its adhesive on it, so we want to make sure it goes onto the card right about there, like that. There you go. Now that's attached. And it really, the picture that I look at on my screen, it does not do it justice. This is just so pretty in person. So let's go ahead and add some adhesive. I'm going to use liquid glue. The Tombow liquid glue might be my favorite, way of adding adhesive. You don't really need a whole lot. And put this on a piece of Pacific Point that was cut down a 1/4 inch smaller all the way around. And then the same thing, add some adhesive on here, and then attach that to our base. And it just makes a beautiful card. And it didn't take a lot of supplies. Okay, what do you think about that? Now, of course, we need to do the inside of our card, and to do that, let's just keep it simple, and we'll stamp our pelican. And I like to use the crumb cake for that. We'll open that ink pad up. A couple of nice taps in there. And I don't have my scratch paper underneath, so let's pull out that one. And we don't need a whole lot of that. There you go. Oops. There you go. Got our pelican. And of course, I'm going to be adding a couple of these little birds. I use the navy blue on the front. I think I'll continue with that navy blue on the inside as well. So, just a couple of them. Aren't they beautiful? I just love that. So there's the inside of your card, the outside of our card, and I already stamped an envelope to coordinate with it. It just makes for a wonderful piece of art to get in the mail. And I hope you like that one. So our next one isn't that much different, but just a little bit. But this time we're going to stamp on a piece of the Designer Series paper. And again, this is from the packet I showed you last week, and it is called Waves of the Ocean. And I mean, you've seen this, it's just gorgeous. There's all different colors in here besides blues. You end up with some of these yellows and peaches and yellow greens and blues and so on. So they're just stunning, stunning colors. Okay, and this is the back. Let's see, this one, that's the back side of that. So, and that, again, that one is called Waves of the Ocean. And so I'm going to put, bring back the Stamparatus. Okay. And let's go ahead and put this, and let's put it in the same spot. I think this is, yeah, that'll do. Yeah, I like this spot. Let's just line it up right. Let me see, is that too far down? No. When I say, is it too far down, I don't know if you can see it on the screen or not. I'm gonna miss this edge. I don't want that edge showing, and I already cut this down. I should have left it a little bit bigger and then trimmed it down, but I didn't. But this will work just fine. And when you're doing things like this, I always say, well, you can just take some artistic liberty. It's your design. And you know what? If it doesn't turn out the way you want it to, it's just paper. We can start over, right? Let's put a magnet up here. Let's put one over here as well to hold that in place. This time I'm inking it up with our Bermuda Bay. And let's give it a little inking right there. And nice firm pressure. Well, that's pretty, but we seem to have lost everything up here. Again, this is the beauty of this Stamparatus, that you can go back in as long as you have secured your paper and it hasn't moved. You can go back in to restamp if you've missed something. Now you see the difference here. This is pretty amazing at the difference in colors here, but I'm going to go in with some of the Pacific Point. And I'm just going to use the same sponge dauber. It's just had blue on it. And I'm going to add some of this Pacific Point. I'm going to go here, of course, but I'm also going to go all the way down along here. Yeah. This first part isn't even in our, it's being stamped off. So I don't need to worry about down here. I want more of the color up here. Okay, so you can brush that on, or you can dab it on, whichever way works for you. There's no right or wrong. Let's just add a little depth of color here. Oh yeah, okay. I hope you can see those subtle differences. I think I'm going to leave that like that is, so we can just continue to move on. And I'm going to go back in with our Bermuda Bay using this sponge brush again, our blending brushes, so that we get rid of some of that white and just add a little bit more depth of color to all of this. I think I might go in there with that Night of Navy too. I want that just a smidge darker because I'm getting a little light, but I love how that looks when you stamp it on your designer series paper. Our papers are just amazing. A lot of times I just stuck my thumb right into that as well. A lot of times we forget that we could stamp right on these papers. And it's just a whole totally different look when we do that. Let's bring in this navy, Night of Navy, and really give us some color in here. Can you see that on the stamp? Ooh, yeah, that's really nice and dark. A little darkness over here too. Okay, we won't waste too much time on doing this because I think you get the gist of it. The simple fact that you can go back and just keep adding and layering your colors by sponging or using sponge daubers is just an amazing look. I love how dark this is now. Okay, very pretty. Alrighty. So I'll do the same thing with cleaning that off, but I'll wait to do that. I am going to put my magnets away. You see there's storage right underneath here for those, and they're opposite of each other. Oops. There we go. This paper is just so cool in the fact that it has these veins of color that run through them. This is like that Pacific Point along with the Bermuda Bay color. Or I'm not really sure, but I think that's kind of a Bermuda Bay color going on there. All right, so the other thing that you can do when you have this is pretty much the same type of card. The only difference is adding some words. So on this one, I've already stamped, cut out our pelican, and I did make the pelican a little more gray because they really are. And then our words here, just like that. And remember this die cut, this one here. I love the look of that. And you can pop that up. You could add some twine. This is our linen thread. And you know what? I think I will, but I'm just going to make a bow. Let me do that really quick so that I can see it. As a matter of fact, why don't I just finish the card? How about that? I'm going to double this up. I think that's enough. And I'm going to thread that right through just one end. And I did make another sample of this. It's extremely simple and very close to the same as this. Now, when doing this, one of the things that I find much easier is take dimensionals. You're ready to pop this up because I do like things popped up. And look, this is the back of a piece of paper where I'd stamped and I didn't care for what I had stamped, so I just flipped it over. You've got two sides. 90% of the time you're not going to see that other side, so it's okay. Instead of wasting your money on more cardstock, just reuse a piece. It's okay. That's why they're double-sided. And our cardstock is so nice and thick, especially if you use the thick basic white. It's just gorgeous cardstock and stamped so nice. Well, let's go ahead and make that little bow just a little bit smaller. Which one of these do I need to pull? That one. Do this a couple of times until I get it where I want it. All right, pull these little strings here. There we go. One is longer than the other. There we go. Just like that. And then I kind of like this wild look, but they are a little bit long. So let's just chop those off a little bit. But I do like that wild look on there. I am going to attach this, but I think I'll just use glue instead of mounting it up. Sometimes if you mount everything, kind of doesn't look as good as if you just focus on mounting one piece. It's the little things that make a difference when you're stamping your cards. Using this glue does give you a little time to play as well. If that had been adhesive, that cockeyed little bird would have been just crooked as all get out. And once again, I am going to use, no, I'm not. I'm going to use white this time. Let's mount it on top of white and go with this. I do tend to always start my glue in the center, and right there is a prime example why. Can you see that big glob that started right off? It wasn't because I was squeezing too hard. It's just because sometimes that's what happens. And I'd rather it happen in the center where it's not going to ooze out anywhere than if I'd started on the edge and had a big glump there, and then it would be oozing out everywhere. A very different look than this one, just because we're mounting it on white. But we're going to bring in our beautiful Pacific Point paper. I love this shade of blue. So the new in colors have been announced to the demonstrators, and they are beautiful. They'll be announced to everybody here shortly, but we're not supposed to leak that little bit of information out, so I have to keep it to myself. What do you think? Cute? And then I'll take, and I will use a piece of white on the inside, and I'll stamp something really cute on the inside there. And I think this is where we'll put our wave. How about that? Now, normally I would just mount this on the Stamparatus and make it easy, but I'm not going to use the Stamparatus because it's loaded with a dirty stamp right now. And I do have a second thing. It comes with two of these. And of course, I don't have my second one up here. It's in the drawer behind me. 90% of the time, I just use the one. But let's go ahead and ink this up. And this will just show you an easy way of doing this. So we put our ink on, and I know I don't need the whole thing inked up, so I'm only inking up this bottom portion, and I'm using our Bermuda Bay. And what I will do is I take scrap paper and I take I got dirty fingers again. Um, Instead of trying to turn the stamp over and finding where you want it, I just take the card right to the stamp and right about, I don't even want half as much as what I already inked up. I'm just going to put it right here and lay this over top of to keep my fingers clean, even though they're already dirty, and just rub on the cardstock. It's not hard. It's very simple way of getting your color. And now we have our waves. And it really looks like waves in the ocean. This will get clean just like the rest of them. I'll put it over here with my other dirty stamps. And on the inside, we could either add a pelican here, or I wish I had another pelican already stamped for you. I would add it there, but I will not the pelican, but I'm just going to cut the post off when I do stamp that. And apparently I don't have a second one. I've used a lot of those, but I'll show you what that looks like on this other card that I did, and I liked it. So I decided to do it again on here. But to finish our card, let's go ahead and add this to the inside. I can add those wooden beams here and poles in just a second, whatever they are, piers. Okay, oh, look at that. I did exactly what I said you don't want to do. Right down here, can you see it? Yeah, little glue oozing out, but that'll be okay. If you have one of these, Stampin' Up! Used to sell these. It actually is an eraser to erase glue. But if you don't have one, I know they sell them at the Office Depot over here by me. So it's just a glue eraser. So they're probably at all of them. So our inside will look something like that. And then ahead of time, I went on and I did the envelope with the same designer series paper. And again, if we cut one of these out and add it to this, look how beautiful. I have one, but it doesn't have the adhesive on the back. And I don't want to take the time to glue. And I've already put my bird down, so that would look dumb at this point, but you get the gist of it, okay? Makes for an absolutely gorgeous card again. So I hope you like those. This is a really fun set, and I wish that I had a little bit more time to myself this week, but that just did not happen. But you know how that is. Life happens. And I also chose to take Monday, and we spent the entire day hiking and walking the beach, the dunes, and just gorgeous. There's a national wildlife refuge real close, and it's right at the beach. So it's just a fun day, and the weather was just perfect. It wasn't terribly hot or anything. So there we go. Okay, well, ladies, I cannot thank you enough for joining me today. And every day that you come live to see me and give me some thumbs up and some hearts and some love, I really appreciate it. I'm sorry that everything is a mess back here. I just did not put away stamps when I was playing and doing. I just set them back there to get them off of my spot here. But that's okay. This is real life. This is how I stamp, and you see my stamping space. I have this mat that we from Stampin' Up! They used to sell these too, and it's one of my favorite things. So I use that a great deal, and have my design or my scrap paper on top of that a lot of times too. So Anyways, until next Thursday, everybody have a wonderful, happy, creative week. Do something special for yourself. And I hope all is well and this weather will settle down. We'll get into some more um, summer weather soon. I always look forward to the summer weather, and we get warm pretty quick down here. Once we get past this month, it's going to be nice and warm. So happy stamping, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. Bye bye.